Now let's talk about the macro-environmental factors. These consist of culture, demographics, the political and legal environment, the social environment, the economic environment, and technology. The cultural environment consists of institutions and other forces that affect a society's basic values, perceptions, preferences, and behaviors. People grow up in a particular society that shapes their basic beliefs and values. They absorb a worldview that defines their relationship with others. Cultural factors strongly affect how people think and how they consume, so marketers are keenly interested in the cultural environment. Let's think about the customs and traditions that persist in a particular culture, in a particular society. On the screen, you see customs and traditions of different cultures. You may recognize some of them, and some may seem foreign to you. Thanksgiving, for example, is a long-held tradition in the United States. Thanksgiving is all about consumption. Certain types of foods are consumed on a certain day and with certain people. Christmas is another example of a cultural tradition held in many societies where there are certain customs and rituals, such as the giving of gifts and the adorning of the home with certain objects, such as a Christmas tree and lights. All of these involve purchase decisions that stem from a particular cultural belief system and values. Culture engulfs the beliefs and values of a society, and these beliefs shape more specific attitudes and behaviors found in everyday life. Core beliefs and values are passed on from parents to children and are reinforced by schools, businesses, religious institutions, and government. Although core values are fairly persistent, think about the US. What are some of our core values? You may think of things such as individualism, independence. However, cultural swings do take place. Consider the impact of popular music groups, movie personalities, and other celebrities on young people's hairstyle and clothing norms. Marketers want to predict cultural shifts to spot new opportunities or threats. Now, culture exists at different levels. For example, culture exists at the country level, where society consists of the group of people that inhabit an entire nation, and it also exists at the regional level. So when we think of regions of the country, such as the Southeast, the Southwest, New England, even further divided, we can think about regions within a state, such as within Florida. South Florida culture might differ from Central Florida and North Florida culture. And these cultural differences also can present opportunities for marketers. For example, a regional culture trend opportunity for Dunkin' Donuts, as well as other food establishments here in South Florida, is the large population of Cuban Americans and Cuban immigrants. So Dunkin' Donuts and others who have followed suit have offered versions of Cuban staple foods, such as the Cuban sandwich. Now, Subway has recently introduced their version of a Cuban sandwich. The demographic environment. Demography is the study of human populations in terms of size, density, location, age, gender, race, occupation, and other statistics. Demographics provide an easily understood snapshot of the typical consumer in a specific target market. Changes in demographics mean changes in markets, so that makes them very important to marketers. We'll first look at the biggest demographic trend in the US. the changing age structure of the population. The U.S. population currently stands at nearly 320 million and may reach almost 364 million by the year 2030. The single most important demographic trend in the United States is the changing age structure of the population. Primarily because of falling birth rates and longer life expectancies, the U.S. population is rapidly getting older. In 1980, the median age was 23. By 2050, it is estimated to be 38. This aging of the population will have a significant impact on markets and those who service them. The U.S. population contains several generational groups, depicted on screen in Exhibit 4.4. The four largest groups are the baby boomers, Generation X, the millennials, also known as Generation Y, and Generation Z, the first generation of the 21st century born from the year 2000 and onward. The baby boomers, so called because the post-World War II baby boom produced 78 million individuals born between 1946 and 1964. Over the years, the baby boomers have been one of the most powerful forces shaping the marketing environment. The youngest boomers are now in their 50s. The oldest are in their late 60s and well into retirement. After years of prosperity, free spending, and saving little, the Great Recession hit many baby boomers hard, especially the pre-retirement boomers. A sharp decline in stock prices and home values ate into their nest eggs and retirement prospects. As a result, many boomers began spending more carefully and rethinking the purpose and value of their work, responsibilities, and relationships. Although some might still be feeling a post-recession pinch, the baby boomers remain the wealthiest generation in U.S. history. They are what one analyst calls a marketer's dream. Today's baby boomers account for about 35% of the U.S. population. But this group controls an estimated 70% of the nation's disposable income. As they reach their peak earning and spending years, the boomers will continue to constitute a lucrative market for financial services, new housing and home remodeling, new cars, travel and entertainment, eating out, health and fitness products, and just about everything else. The baby boom was followed by another generation of 49 million people born between 1965 and 1976. Author Douglas Copeland calls them Generation X because they lie in the shadow of the boomers. Considerably smaller than the boomer generation that precedes them, and the millennials who follow, the Generation Xers are sometimes overlooked as a consumer group. Although they seek success, they are less materialistic than the other groups. They prize experience, not acquisition. For many of the Generation Xers who are parents, family comes first, both children and their aging parents, and career second. From a marketing standpoint, the Generation Xers are a more skeptical bunch. They tend to research products before they consider a purchase, prefer quality to quantity, and tend to be less receptive to overt marketing pitches. They are more likely to be receptive to irreverent ad pitches that make fun of convention and tradition. They were the first to grow up in the internet era. Generation X is a connected generation that embraces the benefits of new technology. Some 49% own smartphones and 11% own tablets. Of the Xers on the internet, 74% use it for banking, 72% use it for researching companies or products, and 81% have made purchases online. 95% have an active Facebook page. They are the most educated generation to date, and they possess hefty annual purchasing power. However, like the baby boomers, the Generation Xers are now facing lingering economic pressures. Like almost everyone else these days, they are spending more carefully. Still, with so much potential, many brands and organizations focus on Generation Xers as a prime target segment. For example, a full 82% of Generation Xers own their own home, making them an important segment for home and hearth marketers. Home improvement retailer Lowe's markets heavily to Generation X homeowners, urging them to never stop improving. Millennials. Yes, this includes you most likely, also known as Generation Y. These are the 83 million children of the baby boomers born between 1977 and 2000. The millennials are the most financially strapped generation. Facing higher unemployment and saddled with more debt, many of these young consumers have near-empty piggy banks. Still, because of their numbers, the millennials make up a huge and attractive market both now and in the future. One thing all millennials have in common is their comfort with digital technology. They don't just embrace technology, it's a way of life. The millennials were the first generation to grow up in a world filled with computers, mobile phones, satellite TV, iPods and iPads, and online social media. As a result, they engage with brands in an entirely new way, such as with mobile or social media. More than sales pitches for marketers, millennials seek opportunities to shape their own brand experiences and share them with others. Generation Z. Young people born after the year 2000. Although many analysts include people born after 1995 in this group, the Generation Zers make up important kids, tweens, and teens. Generation Z makes up the important kids, tweens, and teens market. For example, by themselves, U.S. tweens ages 8 to 12 number 20 million girls and boys who spend an estimated $43 billion annually of their own money and influence a total of almost $200 billion of their own and parents' spending. These young consumers also represent tomorrow's markets. They are now forming brand relationships that will affect their buying well into the future. Companies in almost all industries market products and services aimed at Generation Z. For example, many retailers have created special lines or even entire stores appealing to Generation Z buyers and their parents. Consider Abercrombie Kids, Gap Kids, Old Navy Kids, and Pottery Barn Kids. The Justice chain targets tween girls with apparel and accessories, laser focused on their special preferences and lifestyles. Media companies and publishers are also targeting today's connected, tech-savvy Generation Zers and their parents. For example, Netflix has created a Just for Kids portal and app by which children can experience Netflix on any or all of their screens. Just for Kids is filled with movies and TV shows appropriate for children 12 and under, organized in a kid-friendly way with large images of their favorite characters and content categories. Today's kids are notoriously hard to pin down, and they have short attention spans. The key is to engage these young consumers and let them help to define their brand experiences. Another Generation Z concern involves children's privacy and their vulnerability to marketing pitches. Companies marketing to this group must do so responsibly or risk the wrath of parents and public policy makers. Another important trend is that the U.S. population is becoming better educated. For example, in 2012, 88% of the U.S. population over the age of 25 had completed high school and 32% had a bachelor's degree, compared with just 66% and 16% respectively in 1980. The workforce also is becoming more white-collar. Job growth is now strongest for professional workers and weakest for manufacturing workers. The rising number of educated professionals will affect not just what people buy, but also how they buy. The changing American family. The traditional household consists of a husband, wife, and children, and sometimes grandparents. However, this traditional historic American ideal has lately been losing some of its luster. In the United States today, married couples with children represent only 19% of the nation's 122 million households, less than half that of 1970. Married couples without children represent 28%, and single parents are another 18%. A full 34% are non-family households. singles living alone, or unrelated adults of one or both sexes living together. More people are divorcing or separating, choosing not to marry, marrying later, remarrying, or marrying without intending to have children. The number of same-sex couples raising children has increased 75% since 2000. The changing composition of today's modern American families is increasingly reflected in popular movies and television shows such as Modern Family. Marketers must consider the special needs of non-traditional households because they are now growing more rapidly than traditional households. Each group has distinctive needs and buying habits. The number of working women has also increased greatly, growing from under 40% of the U.S. workforce in the late 1950s to 58% today. American women now make up 40% of primary family breadwinners. 4% of married couples with children in the United States have a full-time stay-at-home dad. Companies are now adapting their marketing to reflect the changing dynamics of American families. For example, next you'll see a Samsung Galaxy phone ad that features a dad swaddling and calming his newborn son while mom runs errands. When the anxious mom calls home to check in, the newly minted Swaddle Master replies, "We're having a dude's day here. We're fine. You can take the weekend if you want to." This ad also reflects the evolving diversity in modern American households. We'll discuss that next.
So, we're gonna put your little legs down like this. Hey, hello?
Hey, you guys okay?
Yeah, Wes, we're fine.
Any problems?
No problems. You run all the errands you need. We're having a dude's day at home. We're fine.
Okay, I'll be home in 2 hours.
All right, that sounds good. You take the weekend if you want to.
Okay, I'll see you soon then.
Okay, all right, bye.
All right, let's try this again.
Let's see if we can up our swaddle game here, huh? Hey, Galaxy, search YouTube for swaddling tips.
First, take the left corner
So,
and fold it
number
over.
one, and we gotta get you down like that, and get you in there.
Next, take the bottom corner and bring it.
Okay. And we get our feet in here.
Then, pull the right corner over.
Daddy's a swaddle master.
All right. You feel good? Of course you did. That's wet. That's gonna be a wet one.
Increasing diversity. Countries vary in their ethnic and racial makeup. At one extreme is Japan, where almost everyone is Japanese. At the other extreme is the United States, with people from virtually all national origins. The United States is sort of a salad bowl, in which various groups have mixed together but have maintained their diversity by retaining and valuing important ethnic and cultural differences. Most large companies, from Procter & Gamble, Walmart, Allstate, and Wells Fargo to McDonald's and Levi Strauss, now target specially designed products, ads, and promotions to one or more groups. For example, Wells Fargo prepares separate advertising campaigns targeting Hispanic, African American, and Asian American segments. In the example you see on screen, CoverGirl has taken the opportunity to offer a product line that addresses the unique needs of African American women through its new Natural Hue Mineral Makeup with Shine Control. The product contains features specifically formulated for African American skin, and they appeal through the image of a popular African American music artist and actor, Queen Latifah.